Hello there. Today we were taking a look through our Steam replay from 2022. It's been a long year. There's games in here that I had completely forgotten that I'd even played. It's been a while. It's cool that I started doing this because people have been talking about like this Spotify replay or whatever they call them for that, and I don't use Spotify and I don't use a lot of those sorts of services. So it's nice to have one that I can actually relate to. So let's just jump into it. We played 33 games apparently, which, yeah, seems like a lot. So I've probably forgotten half of them. 18 of them were new. I was doing a bit of a binge on, is that new for me or new releases, I wonder? I suspect that means that I played them for the first time, because I don't think I've played that many new releases. But I have played 3 demos apparently. So, Warframe, I played that months ago. That was at the start of the year I was binging that. I was specifically hunting achievements on that one. So, yeah, some of the rarer ones, or some of just the weapon-based ones where it's sort of just grinding things down. Fun game. Do really enjoy it still, but it does get very sameish after a while. I should jump back into that though, because I had created my own little clan dojo, which is a fun place that you can make for yourself, and then you can research things, get new weapons. That was fun. It's always difficult doing things like that by yourself when it's a game that's intended to play with others, but that's kind of what I do. So I'm fine with that. Should get back into that. Hardspace Shipbreaker, of course that came out fully released this year. So yeah, 17% of playtime apparently. Slightly less than Warframe still. I guess I crammed a lot of Warframe. 27 sessions played in total. Nice. And I think because they expanded it and added more achievements, and I went back and got all of the new ones as well, I believe. So yeah, that sounds about right. And speaking of achievements, you can tell what I play games for. Achievements make my brain happy. I like having a goal, what can I say? 23 games, 314 achievements, and 125 of those were rare. I do always look at the rare achievements. That is something that I consciously go out of my way to do. I will go into the games that I'm playing and click on the achievements pane, and I'll sort basically. Well, I think they're already sorted by rarity, I think. No, if you compare with global, then it sorts them by rarity. That's what it is. And I will intentionally go and see what's the most rare ones and how hard is it going to be for me to get them. Sometimes they just look impossible. Like there's Ori in the Blind Forest, for example. I think there's one to beat the game without dying once. You know. Without dying 1,000 times, maybe. I'm more Airscape, where there is an achievement for dying like 1,000 times. Subnautica, only 10% of playtime this year. We've kind of fallen off on that one. I used to do at least the weekly bingos, and fortnightly, sorry. And I kind of want to still. I'll try and squeeze one in over Christmas, perhaps over the break. But I don't know. They've just released some big updates, and it kind of soured the experience a bit because I don't know, it added a bunch of stuff. Don't get me wrong. For a casual experience, it's not bad. I guess they were trying to just get a bit more interest back into the original game instead of just updating BZ. I would rather that they released a sequel that was actually set in the original Subnautica area and added their updates to that instead, and have it be like a progression of the world, instead of it being just slamming it back into the old game and go, here you go. They didn't add any extra achievements or anything, I don't think. All of their ones were just storyline based anyway, which I'm not a fan of, as I like hunting the rare achievements where you have to do this really niche thing and it's an encouragement to play the game in a different way. But instead they were just milestones through the story and side story. But the fact that we have an all achievement speedrun, you can do them all in a single playthrough within an hour, you know. It's not quite what they're there for. And I don't know why they put this one in. Played with keyboard and mouse. Yes. majority. I mean, there's only going to be very few options in here anyway, right? How many control schemes do you have? And 17% with controller. That'll be like sort of Truck Simulator. Actually, I can't think of any others. It'll be Truck Simulator. How we compare against the rest of the community. So, the 314 achievements, apparently the Steam average is 21. I imagine that I'm a bit of an outlier, I suspect. I imagine a lot of people, their majority of their Steam use is going to be playing the same game a lot. And it'll be an old game. It's people who are playing COD, TF2 probably still, Civilization games, things like that. Where, yeah, it's all about just mainlining that game. So they've probably already got all the achievements related to it. Also, I'm much more of an achievement hunter. Rather than just surface level, I'll get what's on my way sort of thing. But yeah, played 33 games, apparently the Steam average is only 5. So yeah, I think that reinforces the idea that most people play just a few games and stick with them for a longer period of time. I jump between games like a frog on a hot rock a lot of the time, it seems. And I'm sure there's people, I mean, there's a bit of wriggle room up the top here. I'm sure there's people who do more. Longest streak was only 10 days though. Just over average. Yeah, I don't play every single day. And also, there was a point that I started getting back into World of Warcraft again. So that's not on Steam, that's on a different platform. And I was playing a bunch of stuff on the Microsoft Store as well, through the Microsoft app, because I have a Game Pass. So that covers that, I guess. I would have to do my own heuristics to figure out where all of my time went. 25% of games I played were new releases. Okay, so actually quite a lot compared to 17%. That's more than I expected. It's more than I can remember, that's for sure. So 25% of 33. I mean, for one, that's not an even split, but I've rounded. 64% were released in the last 1 to 7 years, so recent. Yep, makes sense, because I'll often pick a game up 2 or 3 years down the line when it's on special. That makes perfect sense. Classic games, 11%. 8 or more years ago. I mean, Euro Truck Simulator 2 was released more than 8 years ago now. So, that probably covers that one, to be honest. Apparently more people play older games. Interesting. Spidergraph, the types of games. I'm pretty well spread, it seems. Mostly around the open world survival and crafting, yep. No big surprises there. Action RPG. I guess it depends how things get classified. I mean, Warframe I was clearly playing a lot of, so I guess that probably counts as an action RPG. It's not really RPG, I guess. It's action or RPG, perhaps. Don't know. Space, I mean, that's not really a kind of game, that's a setting. Ditto Cyberpunk. Those are settings, not game types. But okay, whatever. Sports, I've no idea what I played that could be considered sports. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Almost need a list of games with their categories to be able to figure that one out. Automobile Sim, obviously. Truck Simulator. And then community stuff, discussion posts, badges earned. This will just be bits and pieces here and there. Reviews written, that'll be for when it's a requirement for games, like the special sale events and stuff. It'll be, you know, write a review for a game you nominated. Yeah, that's the only time I write reviews, pretty much. And yeah, games gifted, that would be me giving God of War to my wife so she could play it, and then I just play it on her account. It's pointless buying a game twice. Just library share. Only shared one screenshot, apparently. Interesting. I'm not big on the social space, as you can tell. I'm the sort of person who plays, like I was saying earlier, Warframe, and I do my own dojo stuff. I play World of Warcraft. I have my own guild for my own characters, and my own guild bank. I use LFG when I have to. I'm not big on the social side. Top player games, here we go. Okay, so it was back in February that I was playing Warframe. 20% total play time, there's a 4-day streak. Almost half of it in February. And then picked it up through April. And here's the achievements we unlocked. Okay, yeah. Oh good, it's got the mouse over still for them, it's not just an image. They've put in a lot of effort on these. It's kind of cool. Well, maybe not a lot, but they've put in some effort, which is nice. You're playing for 100 hours. And that's 100 hours in-game specifically, I seem to remember. Menu time, time spent outside of a session, does not count, I believe. So any time you spend just in your dojo or in your ship doing upgrades and everything. And I spend a lot of time staring at upgrade screens wondering what the hell to build or, or do next. 1 million credits, yep. I wonder if there's one above that. I don't think so. Can't tell which... Oh yeah, there's the slight gold highlight around the rarest ones. Brawl Mastery. So this is just the types of weapons. There's different ones of those. I actually dedicated some time to ranking up. That's right. That's... If I was to do anything, it would be get back into trying to work my way through those, because you can only do that once a day, I seem to remember. That could be interesting. Hive Infestation missions. Yeah, there's lots of new missions. And then the healing ones. So I don't play socially, so for the healing ones, what I had to do there... And where's the Lifesaver one? There's one which is probably extremely rare. This one. Reviving 1,000 allies. So I had to create it. I created a second account on... Well, it's, yeah, a second account off a different Steam account. So I could have 2 instances of the game running. So I could stand in the fire and then die and revive. Because I specifically wanted to get that. That's how stupid my brain is sometimes. I will do those sorts of things just to get achievements. Hard Space Shipbreaker. That was a chill game. That's a great game. Unlocked 100% achievements in this year. Absolutely. I went hunting on the rarer ones of those, such as the Furnace God. So you have to actually fall into a furnace and then read your messages. I suspect a lot of people do one of those things accidentally, but never actually check their messages. That one's a rare one, Ghost in the Ship. You have to get a rare message, I think, or a rare data entry from a ghost ship. Collecting credit drives, destroying AI nodes. I guess a lot of people don't get to the point of doing ghost ships. Salvaging a reactor, 6.9%, nice. I wish these were sorted in order of rarity or something. 1.8% completing career mode. That's very low. That is quite low. Oh, the disagree and commit thing, completing the salvage goals versus I don't see immediately. Oh, that's the next one along. Failing 3 out of 5. That's interesting because I think it finishes at one or the other, so that's the number of players who reached that point in the game, I guess. I had to go back to the point of doing that mission again. Basically did another full playthrough. It was fun though. It's a really fun, chill game. I guess a lot of people just play open mode and don't do the storyline, which is also very fair. If I went back to play it now, that's probably all I'd do. And Subnautica. A bit of a smattering, and then it started to fall off near the end of the year there. A little bit more back in March. I was actually trying to do some more speedrunning, I think, back then. And then it just kind of fell away, and then it was just the bingo. And now it hasn't even been that. Euro Truck Simulator 2, picked that up again August. Would that be when Iberia came out? Was that this year? Can't remember if that was this year or last year. There should be a little blip of that at the tail end of December as well, because I was playing that recently for the Christmas event. But that may as well be next year by now, so that's fair. I guess it won't really go counted unless they do like a 20th to the 20th sort of count back instead, because otherwise it won't even be on next year's. Only one achievement. Could do better. Complete 20 deliveries choosing the trailer delivery option, which requires reversing. They must have only just recently made that achievement or added it to the game, because there is no way in hell I had not done that already. I think they only just did that this year. I noticed a few just pop up randomly. For ATS as well. Interesting, I haven't seen American Truck Simulator on here yet. I am sure I've played that a lot more than Euro Truck Simulator. Oh. PowerWash Simulator. Avoided manual labor in the real world, but doing manual labor in the virtual world. Man, Steam. Come on. You don't have to call me out like that. That's rude. 9% of total playtime. January, March, May. These would have been the updates, I guess, when it was still in early access. And then this would have been when it hit full release. And we blasted through it again. And we reset all of our progress. Well, first I went through and got all of the achievements that were feasible to get off the maps that I already had unlocked, as you can see. And then I started again. And I've given myself the challenge of using only the basic washer, the one that you start with. And it's a bit of a chore. But again, that's just what I do. There's not even an achievement for that one. That's just me being silly. But it's interesting. It makes you do the maps in a very different way. You have to really think about what you're doing and how you're doing it. And, you know, that's cool. I like playing games in different ways. It's fun. I did want to finish that off by the end of the year so that this one would have said 100% of achievements, but we didn't. We got distracted doing other things. It happens. We'll continue that on. There's probably as many hours as this left for me to go through and finish the main career mode. Using the basic washer, it takes a very long time to do any map. So we'll see when we get the time to do that. That could be interesting. There we go, playtime by month. Oh, is this? Ah, it is. It's colored barred. Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. 31% in other games, and it does list them, so that's good. So 32% in Icarus. Would have been nice if that had been highlighted. I guess I didn't play that enough, because it came out just late last year. Actually, when was its official release? It was around Christmas last year, I think. Yeah, so that would have been just after it came out, but I played so much of it back in early access when they were doing their early access updates. It would have been interesting if they'd done one of these last year as well. Maybe they did and I just missed it, not sure. It was rather hectic this time last year. It's hectic this time too. 5% American Truck Simulator, 5% in PowerWash Simulator, 28% in Sonority, and then, yeah, Grim Dawn we gave a go. That's right. Gave that a try. It was alright, as a sort of Diablo clone style thing, but the talent system, I know some people love it, and they rave over it, and they love it because of the talent system being so granular, but it reminded me of old school WoW, where it was, you had to put multiple points into something of just 1% increase in X skill or X damage. I don't like that. I would rather it be just a 5%, boom, done. Move on, something different. Yeah. Sometimes it's just a case of level up less and give different options. Yakuza 0, that was fun. I picked that up. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Froob over the last few years and his Yakuza runs. Yakuza, however you're meant to pronounce that. And 0 seemed like a good start. I picked a few of them up on a good special. That was a bit of fun. It's not really my kind of game. It's not the sort of game I would normally play a lot of. And the control scheme, I seem to remember, was a bit confusing. And after a while it started feeling a bit same-ish as well, because it's just fight spawn, bush, 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 do the same stuff, and then very infrequently, after slogging through a ton of cinematics, you get to a boss and you get your ass handed to you, if you're me, and it takes you a while to get through. And then you just go back to just grinding a bunch. I ended up doing so much more side content and random things in that than the actual gameplay, which is about right for me in that sort of game, really. So there we go, 81% of that playtime in February is Warframe. And then, what do we got? Assassin's Creed 2, that's right, because I had that I had been playing ages ago. So I tried getting back into that. I think I wanted to play that a bit more. I really wanted to get further into that, but I just gave up after a while. It's a beautiful game still, but the control scheme is very dated. It would be very interesting if they did a remaster, or not just a remaster, but an updated version of the Ezio trilogy of Assassin's Creed. I suspect there would be a massive market on that. Maybe next engine, after they've gotten through the very dated now engine that's been used for Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla. Don't know what the next one's going to be in, with hopefully they're iterating on that and doing something different. Because by the time of Valhalla, it was looking a bit dated. I would be very interested if they did a re-release or a remaster, or trying to think of the word that it would be. I guess remaster counts, but it's more than just a remaster. You're doing a revision of it as well. To try and pull it kicking and screaming into this century would be nice. And Revelations, same sort of deal. It is a bit newer, so I found it a little bit less tedious. It was also a different setting, and it was a very pretty setting. It was really quite nice. I enjoyed that for, I don't know, probably sunk a good 10 hours or something into it. I may revisit it at some point, I'm not sure. I think I was trying it out to see if I wanted to then stream it, or at least do some recordings of it. I remember one of the very first missions of it was really tedious. You had to drive a carriage in a very particular way, and I hate those sorts of sequences, because then you just hit rocks in just the wrong way or something and get thrown off. And yeah, I hate those sequences. I'm sure some people love them, but it never feels like you've really got a lot of agency in them. And it's very different to the rest of the game. I'm glad they don't do that anymore in those sorts of games. And then House Flipper, we were getting back into again. And Descenders, that's right. I wonder if that's my sports game. That might be what they consider a sports game. Because, yeah, that came out, was on discount, so I played a bit of that. It was good fun. I wasn't very good at it, but it was good fun. March, PowerWash Simulator, Subnautica, Warframe again. And other games, Deus Ex Human Revolution Director's Cut. That's right, I went back and got the Missing Link achievement. Because I was missing one achievement, and it had bugged out on me when I'd been playing through it the first time round. So I dedicated to going back and getting it. That playthrough should be on YouTube. Check it out if you're interested in that game. It was me doing like a stealth run. The achievement is Factory Zero, and it's to do with the Missing Link DLC, which in the Director's Cut is incorporated into the main game. And you have to do it without taking any upgrades. It's hard. It's very difficult. You have to be very patient and save scum a lot. I was certainly not trying to do it in a single run without saving and loading if I needed to. Yeah, that was tough. Anno 2205, I started to try and do some of the other achievements on that. I still have a bit of a hankering to get back into playing that. I was trying to aim towards the achievement where you have like 4 million citizens that are all androids or something. I forget exactly what it was. We'll see if we can get back into that. It just started to feel a bit too tedious, so I just gave it over for other things. Assassin's Creed Origins, picked that up. I'd done a free weekend at some point around there of Valhalla, just directly through the Ubisoft launcher. Uplay, I think it is. And it was okay, but I didn't really enjoy the setting of Valhalla or the story. It's kind of, yeah, it didn't really mesh with me. It was fun to explore. I enjoyed the actual Viking bit, or the Norse bit of it, back in the where you start in the frozen wasteland essentially. But then you just end up in pastoral England, and that's kind of boring. I don't know, it's not a particularly exciting landscape. So yeah, didn't really continue on with that one. But I had Origins and Odyssey that I'd previously picked up on sale and had never played, so I started playing Origins. And that's much more interesting as a setting out in the Sahara in Egypt. I've been playing that again a little bit every now and then. I've managed to get slightly closer to Alexandria, still not very far through the game. Again, keep getting distracted by side quests and just trying to upgrade things, because that's how I play those sorts of games. But yeah, it's a bit of fun. I haven't bothered streaming it or anything, or even doing videos of it, because it's a lot of running around and doing very little for me. It's also the sort of game that I usually play and then pause a lot and take a lot of breaks. It's a much more of a casual style game because I can freely just pause it, go do stuff, come back, play it while watching something. I'm not giving it my full attention, which means I could play it while talking to chat. If I was a full-time streamer, I'd be playing it on stream a lot. I'm not, so I don't. House Flipper again. Got a few recordings of that up on YouTube. And Planetcraft, I think I did a video on that as well. A couple of them anyway. Meant to revisit that again. They added a lot more updates since I stopped playing it as well. It's quite a fun game. I can't remember if you can play it multiplayer or not. It's a sort of game that you really should be able to. It would add a lot to the experience. But at the very least, I was just working towards the basic goals of the terraforming. You basically are on a planet and you're terraforming it. And I was going to build like a nice big research style base and everything with a big observatory and big windows and all sorts. Just never got around to it, really. Lots of other games to play. American Truck Simulator. Again, I'm surprised that one wasn't highlighted, because that looks like it makes an appearance further along as well. Smortica, Warframe. House Flipper again. Beat Saber, that's right. I actually was still playing Beat Saber off this computer. We have a Oculus Quest, but you can plug that in to an actual computer as well and link it and play Steam games by doing that. Because otherwise my only other headset is an old Lenovo Explorer, which was good at the time. It was one of the best field of views that wasn't a base station requiring headset. It's an inside out as well, but it only has 2 sensors, and the resolution's a bit bad. The Oculus Quest is much better by comparison, so we plugged that in and played Beat Saber, Until You Fall, and Ragnarok, which is really fun. You're at the back of a Viking boat and banging drums in time with heavy metal music, and it's spectacular. I love it. Very difficult to do any recordings of gameplay of that, unfortunately. It kind of only captures one eye view or something, so everything looks wonky and offset. You really need one of the base station sort of headsets to do that, and use one of them as a camera, like top isometric style pretty much, to capture you, and then it'll capture the full gameplay as well. But I'm not that interested in doing that. Needed to play more of that. I need to get off my butt and do more exercise anyway, and Beat Saber is a great way of doing more exercise, because it's good fun. PowerWash Simulator again, May. Subnautica, that's when Hardspace Shipbreaker dropped, I'm fairly sure. That would have been the full release, so that's why I was playing a lot of that. And then we got 20% in other games, AC Origins again, House Flipper again, Project Wingman, that's right, I picked that up on sale. It's not a flight sim, really. It's a combat flying game. It's good fun. It's pretty casual, realistically. It's definitely not really a simulator per se. But it put me back in mind of Harrier Jump Jet from way back in the day. That would have been sometime in the 90s. Used to play a lot of that with my brother growing up. That was good fun. And yeah, Project Wingman was a bit more like that. You didn't quite get the same sort of options. It was interesting. Yeah, it was almost a bit too action-packed. Great soundtrack though, full orchestral soundtrack. If you do anything in terms of that game, I would honestly recommend going on YouTube and finding the Project Wingman soundtrack. I believe there is a full video of it being performed by an orchestra as well, I think. And yeah, great soundtrack. Spring Falls, I think we've got a short little video of that. And yeah, very, very chill little puzzle game where you're trying to make waterfalls cascade down a mountain and make flowers sprout. Beautiful game, art style's kind of minimalist but really appealing. Soundtrack, again, very ambient, very nice. Yeah, great little puzzle game. Pretty cheap as well, I think. June, 10%. We tried to get back into Icarus, that's right. But I wasn't really in the headspace for it, so I didn't continue. I tried getting back into it and explored the new Styx area that they'd released. If you buy the game now, and it's on sale at the moment, I believe. I think it's 33% off on Steam. Would recommend if you like open world survival style games. get it, Chris. It's very demanding on your hardware. You might have to turn down a lot of settings unless you've got new hardware, but beautiful game. And I mean, even if you turn down everything, I mean, it's still going to look better than Minecraft. It's still going to look better than Valheim. It's beautiful. Yeah, a lot of options in that. And they've been doing weekly updates since it came out late last year. And they've also introduced a lot more in terms of difficulty modifiers when you go into either a mission or you can do a full open world experience now. You didn't used to be able to do that. The key selling point was that it was session based and you just did it in like mission by mission. But after, basically due to popular demand, and maybe they already originally intended to anyway, but after a while they released an open world ability to it. So you can just create a persistent open world thing where you can tune it to your own and you never leave. But I believe cave resources don't respawn in that. So you will eventually plunder your way through. But hey, I mean, that's fair enough. That's realistic, essentially. You'll end up that you do have a limit on resources, but it's a very big, it's like a 64 square kilometer map. It'll take you a while. So, there's a lot of gameplay in that. And it's like 30 bucks or something New Zealand on sale. Even full price, it's like 50 New Zealand dollars, which for the amount of content that you can get out of a game like that is a steal, honestly. Would seriously recommend. And it's a New Zealand game studio, so yeah, supporting Kiwis. Subnautica, Hardspace Shipbreaker again. Other games, Everspace, that's right, we got back into Everspace a bit. I think I was trying to pick up a few of the achievements that I'd missed in my previous playthrough. I think there's a couple of rare ones to do with some of the side missions that you have going through it, which was an update to the game. And yeah, I've got through most of that. I think I might still have a couple outstanding. Also on that list, Everspace 2 demo. I meant to do a recording of that and never have. So watch this space maybe early next year. I do also have the full game. I can't remember if it's out of early access yet or not. But I have bought the actual full game as well. Instead of the original one, which is more of a roguelike, Everspace 2 is a full open space adventure style. It's more like Freelancer from back in the day. If I start playing that, I will spend a lot of time playing that, I suspect. That's a game for when I have a lot of time to dedicate to something. Freelancer, I put hundreds of hours, if not more, into back when I was growing up. So yeah, I could lose myself in that. It's like single player EVE Online or single player Elite Dangerous, but without being as complicated. So yeah, lot to look forward to about playing that. Deliver Us the Moon we played through. Did a playthrough of that on stream. It was a kind of more of a cinematic story game. I don't usually play that sort of game, but I did enjoy it. It was kind of fun. It's, yeah, something very different. Very visual, a beautiful setting. The ending sucked. No two ways around it. The first like 5 out of 6 chapters were fine and you were experiencing things. I won't spoil anything specifically, but you get to the end and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I felt that the way they ended it was completely contrary to how your character would have acted out the end of it. It felt very forced to a particular narrative and left a few too many things open. But hey, it was still a very fun experience. Little puzzles that you have to solve essentially to go through and unlock progress. Yeah, good fun. Yeah, very pretty as well. House Flipper again, PowerWash Simulator, and Sonority. Sonority, another little puzzle game. Picked that up on sale. That was, yeah, interesting art style. Almost childlike-esque. It's a very simple game. You wander around and you use musical notes in order to progress through puzzles. So you have to do like a note of descending from C to D in order to make a thing drop, to have a door open, or escalating note scale to go up a particular platform. You have to get onto it in time, and it gets more and more complex as you go through the game. If you're curious about that, check out my playthrough. I think I've got a playlist specifically for it. If not, I might do that after this. And I did a speedrun of it as well. After playing through casually, it took me like 4 hours or so, I think, to do on stream, 3 to 4 hours. And then I kind of ran it back and did the first step style from GDQ and just ran it back. I noted down all of the puzzle solutions, so I knew exactly what to do for each one, and just ripped through it as fast as I could. I think I got it under an hour, and I was happy with that. Created the page on speedrun.com. One other person has run it since, and I think a different language as well. It's one of those games where, because there's a lot of text and stuff, language choice is important, which I didn't even care to really experiment with. But I think German might be fastest, so you just swap to German and just run through and blast through doing all the puzzles. Free world record, essentially, if anyone wants to do that. There is a guide. I submitted a guide on there of all of my results of like all of the puzzle solutions. So A, if you're stuck and need a guide, then check that out. 2, it's there if you want to speedrun it. 33% of our July time was in American Truck Simulator, and then PowerWash Simulator. So this is when that must be near the end of the month that came out, full release. Sonority and other games, 32% in Below Zero. Interesting that doesn't get it's only one other game, but it doesn't get its own highlight. Is that when Below Zero came out? No, that was last year. It was probably an update, and I think that's when I was trying to do bingo in Below Zero. So I was doing quite a lot of experimentation, and I think I did multiple runs of that before I did a bingo submission for that. Yeah, can't remember. I still need to get back into a proper speedrun of Below Zero, at least just like a survival glitchless one. It doesn't have to be full-on strats. I get anxiety just watching them, where you have to skate along at very low oxygen a lot of the run, because if you build an oxygen tank, then you move slower. They made it that even using the Sea Glide, the personal mobility thing, a tank slows you down. It's really annoying, and kind of killed the game in many respects. Even casually, it felt so sluggish getting around. I mean, casually you get the sea truck, but then as soon as you start adding more things onto the sea truck, it gets slower as well. I mean, that one's realistic at least. But it just made the whole game feel really slow to get around. I mean, it's still a quick game to speedrun. Survival Glitchless is like 40 minutes or something, I think. Less. But you've got to put a lot of time of learning the run to get to that point. Truck Simulator, once again. Power Simulator, once again. And Euro Truck Simulator. That's when we picked that up again. If that wasn't for a DLC, if that wasn't for Iberia, part of it was speedrunning it. I'm fairly sure that's when I started trying to do some of the speedruns again. Did Istanbul to Aberdeen. And there might have been a community event. Sonority, 2% in other games. House Flipper. There we go. House Flipper will be more in the rotation now, I think. Power Simulator, Truck Simulator, Sonority. AST Hero, that's right. I just saw that advertised by someone on Discord. It's like old school Asteroids. It's fun it's cheap, and it's fun for a short period of time. I don't think I've played it since, but I don't know if I will. But it's a bit of fun. PowerWash Simulator again, October. Big gaming day, a big gaming month it seems in October. I think I took a week off, that would explain it. Euro Truck Simulator. That's when Hardspace Shipbreaker had its update that added more achievements, I seem to remember. So that's when I was going through and picking up all of the rest of them. Either they added more, or I just missed some in my first playthrough of it and went back to get them. Either way. 9% in other games. Origins again. Assassin's Creed Origins picked up. House Flipper. Need for Speed Heat, that's right. That was on sale for like $5, and I thought, well, for that price, why won't I? So I started playing it. It's a bit of fun. I played it for probably about 3 or 4 hours, and I don't think I've touched it since. But hey, $5 entertainment. I enjoyed that 3 to 4 hours, just bombing around in a car. I think that the gameplay is a bit weird in it. The story they attempt to work into the more recent Need for Speed games is generally rubbish at the best of times. I hated the cop chase parts of it. Really don't like those. I was only interested in the race sections. and specifically like the daytime race sections. If they do another like Need for Speed Shift game, then I would be much more interested in playing that. Otherwise, Need for Speed Heat doesn't have much to offer that I couldn't get in like Forza Horizon 4 or 5, which I have on Game Pass at the moment. I mean, if you don't have Game Pass, and they're also on sale a lot, but I would much more recommend Forza Horizon over any of the modern Need for Speed games, quite frankly. Much more fun experience. American Truck Simulator, Power Simulator, and lots of other games, it turns out. Halo the Master Chief Collection, that's right, I started playing through the original Halo again for nostalgia's sake, because I'd started playing that way back, and I think I did it on stream, but I don't think I ever highlighted it for YouTube, because it was kind of slow going. I think I did 2 levels again, and then haven't picked it up again since. Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning, started playing that again, that's good fun. Again, it's the sort of game that's quite a time sink, so I've not pursued that much again yet. I've put maybe 10 hours into it. But that's a huge game. Originally, it was going to be an MMO to like rival WoW, essentially, but then they scaled it back and made it a single-player game instead, and I'm glad they did, but it still means that it's a very foreboding game to get into. But it's fun. The combat's pretty simplistic. It was cool for its time, but it is a bit dated even with the Re-Reckoning. That's the remaster of it. They didn't do all that much except touch up the visuals. I feel they could have tweaked the gameplay a bit more, but that's fine. Still fun. God of War, the old one that is, because I was watching Jacksepticeye, Sean play Ragnarok. I'm never going to play Ragnarok, chances are, unless it does a similar thing in like 2 or 3 years' time and comes onto Steam. But from what I saw of his playthrough of it, I don't think I'd enjoy it as much. It was fun to watch. I don't think I'd enjoy playing it as much. But the original it was a bit simpler in terms of its scope. And I think that simplicity, I think, was better. So started playing that. So I actually technically bought it on my wife's account, and then I've been playing it through Steam library sharing, which is a great way to experience the same game between both of you. One of you actually owns it, the other can play it. You can't play someone else's library game while they are playing anything else on Steam, but so long as you've got your own Steam games to play as well, but you can kind of trade off in terms of library, which is a fun way of doing it. So I started playing through that. It's one I'll pick away at over time. I'm not very good at that sort of game necessarily. I think I'm playing on normal still as opposed to easy, but yeah, the combat just gets a bit tedious after a while. Too many filler enemies. You kind of explore new area, more enemies come, explore new area, more enemies come, and they don't drop anything in particular. You gain a very small amount of experience from those sorts of encounters. Most of your experience comes from doing side missions and doing the main storyline, so it just feels tedious after a while. But that's common in those sorts of games. But that's honestly where having the difficulty, you dial it down just to trudge through those, and then you can always turn your difficulty back up again. I seem to remember it's the sort that you can vary as you go along. You can change it at any time, so you can turn it up for the boss battles. They probably expect that you'll do the opposite. They probably expect that you'll go through the normal encounters on like normal or hard, and then maybe you drop it down to easy for the boss because it's harder. But the bosses are the more interesting parts. So it's a case of, well, I don't mind those being hard. Except that they do fall into the classic failure to me of boss being just big health bar. And once you know what the mechanics are, you go through the motions, and then it's just whittling it down, and it feels tedious after a while. Making the encounters dynamic and interesting is the biggest challenge in that style of game. And they do well for the big storyline encounters, because there will be little cinematic bits. You get to a certain part of the boss, and then something happens, and it changes the way that you're doing the combat, because you'll get thrown to a different place or something like that, or they start doing something differently. So that aspect of it, I think they do well in keeping it fresh, but hitting those thresholds can still take a while and can still feel like a bit of a grind. But it's good. It's a good fun game. God of Boy. Christopher Judge, great voice and beautiful music in the game and very atmospheric. I mean, I shouldn't need to tell you about God of War. If you like that sort of game, you'll have it already and love it because it's, yeah, very popular. But if you haven't heard of it or haven't watched it, check it out. It's often on special. It was 50% off when I bought it, I think. And then My Time at Sandrock demo. So that's the sequel to My Time at Porsche. It's an interesting sort of premise. It's kind of like your Stardew Valley sort of setting, or sort of gameplay. You know, you go to a new town and you set yourself up as a builder and have to, you know, hit certain things and do things for townsfolk and explore. And they have a sort of dungeon system where you can get rare materials. Porsche was fun, My Time at Porsche. Interesting art style, kind of minimalist. Porsche always felt like it was a bit rushed to me and lacked something. And from what I've read, I think that they started working on the sequel quite early and kind of gave up on the first one. So that might explain that. The demo for My Time at Sandrock, again, it's the sort of game I'd get to a point that it would feel like it was too tedious to continue, I suspect. But getting to that point, I think, would still be fun. I can't remember if I ever did a video on that. I meant to do a video on that, but yeah, maybe we will again. The demo you can't actually get now that the game is out, I think, but you can find it on Steam and download it using the Depot downloader, because it's technically a separate demo, Depot, and it's free, so yeah, it's not like you're doing anything dodgy. It's just a case of adding it to your library by doing that. So yeah, it's a good way to check out the game still. But otherwise, the full one is on sale quite a lot anyway now that it's out. I think it's 20% off or something currently. We might pick that up. We might give that a go again at some point. What else we got? Started playing Icarus again very briefly. We did that for our Thankmas stream. I haven't highlighted that yet, actually. But that needs to go up on YouTube at some point. And then 85% in Valheim. Started playing Valheim because a bunch of my old friends from work, my old workplace, it's kind of workmates, but they're not workmates anymore, so it's hard. I left that job last year, but friends. Just started playing a bunch of Valheim on a dedicated server because there was a new update. They played it last big update, I think, and I kind of missed that. And this time round I thought, yeah, you know what, I will join in. So that's been fun. I've sunk a lot of time into that. More than I probably should have. And then House Flipper as well. Cool. That's our breakdown by month. 17% of your playtime was the controller. 6 games apparently. But you're only showing me 5 of them. I spent most time playing these with the controller. Well, that's right, Yakuza 0 I use controller for, because it's meant to be, originally it was PlayStation, I think, or something. So, obviously plays pretty well with a controller. Descenders, yeah, and the truck simulators. Longest daily streak of only 10 days, apparently. Interesting. Actually, that's a point. You can see the dip here when I started playing World of Warcraft again to level a bunch of stuff through, kind of finish off Shadowlands content, because then Dragonflight came out. So that's why these bars are lower than these bars. Games are played this year. So we've already kind of gone through this, but get the big picture, grid view by month. I don't think we've missed out on anything. So Planet Crafter again. It's the VR ones. Need to pick those up again. Delivers the moon. I was going to speedrun Deliver Us the Moon, but like I felt like doing so by the time I got to like the 5th chapter, but when I got to the end, I felt, you know what? Maybe I don't want to do this again. ST Hero there, little cameo appearance, God of War. And yeah, there we go. And we can share it, apparently. But, you know, I usually keep my stuff pretty private, friends only. So yeah, that was our Steam replay of 2022. We've played quite a lot of games, apparently more than most, though not as many as some. And yeah, I love this graph. This a great thing to do, where you can just hover over and see everything you've done. And I love how they broke out all the achievements and the little blurbs. Someone must have written a little blurb for every single game, or at least the most popular ones. And then maybe they just do a generic thing for others. But yeah, that's cool. That's a nice touch. I love that. Well, thank you very much for watching. I hope you found some of this interesting. Giving some interesting ideas of games to play, perhaps. So a lot of them I've done playthroughs on stream or offline, and there's recordings on YouTube for. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next year. Happy New Year.